Greetings to all who are listening from across the multiverse. This is a broadcast from a classified location where we study, analyze, and discuss all manners of creatures from across dimensions in an effort to learn more about their origins, abilities, combat behaviors, as well as some of their weaknesses and any other secrets they might have to offer. This is a report from the facility. The alien, also known as a Xenomorph or Internevius raptus, is a monster unlike any other in the universe it resides in. Just one gaze upon this nightmare-inducing fiend will inject fear into the heart of even the most fearsome species. Similar creatures of slightly different biology like the Deacon and Neomorph are primordial versions of the species destined to one day become what we know now as a perfect organism. Unlike many other extraterrestrial races in the universe, the aliens are not sapient toolmakers. They lack a technological civilization of any kind and are instead primal, predatory creatures with no higher goals other than the propagation and self-preservation of their own species, and they have no issue eliminating anything that will get in the way of that goal. The alien's biological life cycle involves the traumatic implantation of a form of endoparasitoid larva inside of a living host. These chestburster larvae erupt from the host's body after a short incubation period and rapidly mature from juvenile into adulthood within hours, after which they seek out more hosts for implantation, making them extremely effective at reproducing at a rapid pace, even in the absence of one of their queens. The species is believed to have originated in a planet known as Planet 4, or Paradise. Planet 4 is the fourth of 5 planets that are part of an unknown system located in an uncharted area of deep space. This area is known as Sector 87. Planet 4 became home for the Neomorph species that were spawned from airborne spores released from mutated egg sacs. It was also home for the Protomorph species after the Weyland-Yutani-made android known as David created ovomorphs containing facehuggers. The species went through a myriad of shapes and forms before developing its ultimate xenomorphic state. Although all forms of this organism are deadly and unique in their own way, I will only be discussing the Xenomorph and Xenomorph Queen variants because they're the most iconic and by far most deadly versions of this creature considered to be the perfect organism. As one of the deadliest of all known alien species, these creatures require a host organism in order to reproduce. The appearance of the xenomorph can vary depending on the host in which the embryo is able to be implanted in by a facehugger. The human phenotype is generally around 7 to 8 feet tall and roughly 136 to 181 kilograms in weight, with a long muscular tail and large curved oblong head. The queen of the species is generally twice as large, although some queens have been shown to grow even larger and possess superior speed, strength, and intelligence compared to her common offspring. The physical form of a xenomorph can vary widely depending on its life stage as well. A typical xenomorph begins its life cycle as an egg-like creature known as an ovomorph, which when detecting the presence of a potential host, opens up to release the second stage, a small arachnid-like life form known as the facehugger, which launches itself onto the host's face and impregnates it with the endoparasitoid larva. This parasite then consumes parts of the host from within and violently emerges from the host's chest cavity as a worm-like creature, grotesquely crescent as the chestburster, which will quickly scurry away and find a safe place where it can molt and complete its metamorphosis into an adult, which happens, surprisingly enough, over the course of mere hours. Xenomorphs all tend to share common traits: a vertebrate-like body, a protected dark exoskeleton, a long flexible tail, an elongated domed head, and a toothed mouth hiding a secondary extendable proboscis-like inner maw. Little is known about their biology. It is known that they eat with their inner or secondary mouths. They also bleed an unknown and extremely corrosive fluid. This substance is often referred to as blood, although whether it's used to transport nutrients through the body or just serves as a defense mechanism is not yet clear. It also possesses the ability to inherit traits from its former host, implying that the xenomorph is able to read and convert DNA into whatever means it uses to store its genetic information. Xenomorphs operate in hives made out of a mixture of resin they produce combined with their saliva fluids, which is of course unpleasant to think of, but it is highly effective for its purpose, which is to provide ideal conditions for the ovomorph by trapping their prey against walls or ceilings near clusters of them, to allow for the facehuggers that launch themselves out of these eggs to have nearby hosts for immediate implantation of the parasite. As for their lifespans, well, it's not very clear how long they live for, but given that every aspect of their biology is more advanced and sophisticated than per se a human being's biology, then it is safe to assume that their lifespan would also be vastly superior to most alien species. One thing that's known for certain is that the Xenomorphs as well as the Ovomorphs can go into a state of hibernation comparable to that of cryosleep, which in a sense allow them to have near indefinite lifespans, and even in a sense allow them to travel into the future by simply remaining in hibernation for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Well, now that we're somewhat familiar with the basics of the Xenomorph biology, let's move on to his weapons and different combat behaviors they display. Most Xenomorphs appear to possess an intelligence level equivalent to that of a typical primate. It's well within their capabilities to learn relatively quickly, gathering information and making advantageous use of their environment. The Queen appears to possess considerable acumen in her social behavior and manipulation of human technology, such as cutting the power of the LV-426 colony and even operating an elevator. While it might take considerable time for them to learn how to operate machinery, other Xenomorphs have displayed fast reasoning and the capacity to find creative, counterintuitive solutions to the problem. As exemplified by a group which, after noticing that they were being contained, intentionally murdered the weakest among them so that the acid of the Xenomorph's blood would eat through the floors. In the rare event that a Xenomorph finds itself under attack or otherwise vulnerable, it might display incredible creativity and cleverness. They are capable of moving quickly and silently in ventilation systems, despite their size, and will use such conduits for ambush, escape, or simply as an easy way to travel between areas. Xenomorphs are aware of the effect of their acidic blood and will use it to their advantage to break out of a confinement or simply as a weapon. They show some military tactics such as retreating when overwhelmed and can find a way to get around certain problems. They know that the darkness is their ally and they will break lights to create cover, which is highly effective for them considering their pitch black coloration. The Xenomorph is equipped to be the perfect killing machine. They possess an exoskeleton much like that of a lobster, impenetrable to everything but the most powerful human firearms. The creature's skin is made from protein polysaccharides, a substance similar to chitin. The creature also replaces its surface cells with polarized silicone, which is a very inert, heat-resistant, and flexible polymer. This can be especially inconvenient to anyone who would oppose them due to the numbers of creatures they might be facing. Because of the rapid pace in which they reproduce, it's likely that anyone who finds themselves in the very unfortunate position of having to fend off one of these monsters is likely to be dealing with many more of them just lurking in the shadows. Xenomorphs are shown to be able to take extreme amounts of physical damage that will kill most other lifeforms. An example of this is a queen that survived a multi-ton exosuit falling on her from over 30 feet. They're also capable of surviving with limbs shot off, stabbings, and even shots through the head. The adult Xenomorph is a living weapon, noted for their ferocity and deadliness in any condition. Once fully matured, they have great physical strength and agility. They are masters of stealth. A favorite method of acquiring prey is to wait by in a dormant state until an appropriate victim strays near, and then drop down silently from behind or use their tail to impale whoever walks by. Attached to the end of both of their arms are a set of long fingers and shiny, black, extremely sharp claws capable of slashing through anything within their grasp. Their tail is long and flexible. Some, though not all individuals, also have ridges on top and a serrated toxic tip at the end of the tail to lacerate enemies. It is accepted that the tail is an offensive weapon and little more. Though the creature can and will run on all four appendages, it often stands on its two hind legs so it can reach for its prey with its arms. While standing, it has also been seen to impale its victims with its tail, even to the point where it can raise a creature heavier than itself to eye level, possibly in preparation for a face bite using the secondary jaw. This would clearly be impossible if the tail was needed for balance, as the already shifting weight would be too awkward, causing the monster to fall over. Their outer mouth is filled with sharp teeth, but their main killing device is the inner jaw that shoots out to penetrate directly into the victim's brain. The inner jaw, also known as an attack tongue, is a muscular appendage on the inside of the Xenomorph's mouth. All Xenomorphs have this trait, with the exclusion of the genetically engineered newborn Xenomorph. In terms of eyesight, the Xenomorph appears to be entirely eyeless. However, there are features on its head which could represent eyes, which are usually hard to see due to the fact that they are small and the same black color as the skin. The eyes may lay under a thin layer of skin, yet are deep enough that they are not visible from the outside. Some aquatic earth species, such as the barrel eyes for example, see through a transparent layer of skin. It is possible that the Xenomorph's vision is similar. Another idea is that their whole head might represent one big insect-like eye. Eyeless or not, it is widely assumed that a Xenomorph identifies enemies by sensing pheromones. This has never been explicitly confirmed nor denied, but what we do know is that they do not kill a host that has already been infected, so they must have some way of detecting the presence of the unborn parasite within the infected. Their most effective defense mechanism is of course the highly acidic chemical blood. Although we don't know for certain that it is in fact blood, it's actually never been made clear whether or not it's used to carry any nutrients through the body. It has often been theorized that the Xenomorph's blood may serve no function other than defense, being a liquid stored under the creature's skin that causes great harm to whoever succeeds in harming the creature. It remains possible, though, that the acid serves some function in the alien's metabolism, perhaps even as an actual blood system analog. One possibility is that it may be an extreme analog of stomach acid, and likewise serves to digest food. In that case, the Xenomorph's digestive system would be spread out like a circulatory system through its body. The acid is so powerful that anything it consumes is immediately dissolved, and it remains distributed over its body, within the extremely resistant walls of the acid vessels, somehow allowing nutrients to be absorbed. As impressive and as seemingly indestructible this creature sounds, it is not without weakness, and has been defeated before in battle many times. Let's now go over its weaknesses and main adversaries, as well as how they rivaled against them. Xenomorphs in all stages of their life cycles have been said to have vulnerabilities to heat. The use of Molotovs and flamethrower-like weapons constitute as an effective technique to drive them off. A rapid succession of extremes in both high and low temperatures apparently causes a thermal shock effect on a Xenomorph's exoskeleton, making them more vulnerable to attacks. The alien queen is also particularly vulnerable to fire, for reasons that still remain unknown. High-caliber firearms, like the explosive rounds of an M418 pulse rifle, may actually cause a creature to detonate, although it appears that high-energy beam weapons may be the best way to kill the Xenomorphs, though pulse rifles appear to be the best way to repel large hordes of them, since they can fire non-stop and are not prone to being destroyed like most stationary plasma weapons. Xenomorphs are not invulnerable to melee weapons either, although such equipment is likely to be destroyed upon contact with their acidic blood. They can of course be also outwitted by more intelligent species than themselves. A clear example of such occasion is the incident aboard a human spacecraft known as the Nostromo while it was en route to Earth from Thetis. Having been placed in stasis for a long journey home, the crew was awakened when the Nostromo received a transmission of unknown origin from a nearby planetoid. Following their landing, they stumble onto an ancient ovomorph that manages to attach his inner dormant facehugger onto one of the crew. His crewmates of course bring him back to the Nostromo to find out that he's still alive, and as is the spider-like creature that was attached to his face. Sadly, bringing him in was the gravest of all mistakes they committed, as the man carried within him the creature that would be the death of them all except for one, of course. Ellen Louise Ripley, often referred to simply as Ripley, was a human warrant officer in the Nostromo and became the last remaining survivor on the ship. The Xenomorph that was so successfully infiltrated the ship also very successfully picked off the crew one by one, like the efficient death machine that it is. But the warrant officer Ripley was no ordinary spacefaring human. She was different than the others. Intelligent, resourceful, and relentless in her efforts to survive, she manages to outsmart the creature and even finds a way to blow him out into the vacuum of space. Even after she does, the tireless monster held on to the outside of one of the ship's thrusters, attempting to somehow claw its way back, but Ripley ignites the engine and blows the alien back into the void in which it came from. Ripley proved that day that she was different, a warrior of her race, now being part of a very small, exclusive group of people in the universe, the very few that have actually managed to kill the perfect organism. She also takes on a queen later on in her life and actually manages to kill it as well, a feat even more impressive, further proving her might as a human warrior. Of course, other species encountered and faced off against Xenomorph just as the humans have. One species, believe it or not, actually seeked them out and hunted them for sport in controlled locations in order to prove their worthiness in combat to their elders. What kind of thing would be crazy enough and powerful enough to purposely pursue and hunt this incredible creature that lives and breathes death upon all it encounters? What could possibly be worse than the nightmare we just discussed? Well, that, my friends, is a story for another day. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you've enjoyed this broadcast from the facility. If you like what you've seen and would like to receive more of these broadcasts in the future, then please like and subscribe down below. Until next time, this is the facility, signing out.